Good afternoon, those that have joined so far. My name is Lauren Stenbridge and I work for Vita Health Group, and today I'm going to be discussing your student assistance programme. Just to let you know, this is being recorded at the moment. I believe there is a live chat. If there is anything that you'd like to discuss outside of this room that's private, confidential, sensitive in nature, please don't hesitate to get in touch with the team separately after this call, and we're happy to pick up a conversation in a safe space, because I appreciate obviously there's quite a few people on the call. So today's session is all about equipping you all with the knowledge of the wealth of the support that's available via Student Assistance Programme. Some of you might be familiar with the support already, so it might be a bit of a recap, but for those that aren't aware of what is on offer, we offer emotional support services with a trained counsellor regarding your mental health. Whether it's maybe building resilience or effective management techniques for when things become difficult. Today is about learning all about that service and how to access the support, most importantly. But before I begin by discussing the services themselves, I'd like to just briefly introduce you to who Vita Health Group are, just because you might not be familiar with who we are. It's really important if we're asking you to reach out about personal matters and pick up the phone and discuss that with us to understand a little bit about who we actually are. So Vita Health Group are an award-winning market leader in workplace and student mental and physical wellbeing services. So a bit about our helpline counselling team. So all of our helpline counsellors are accredited by the British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy. And they're really extremely experienced in supporting with a range of life's challenges. So whether that's academic stress, housing worries, personal worries, or even family issues as well. And the only final thing that I just want to mention before I discuss the services themselves is that Vita Health Group are completely independent. So whilst we partner with Teesside University to enable us to support students, it's just really important to know that it is confidential. Nothing you say will be reported back to the university. The only exception to this, and I'll go through the exceptions list in a later slide, is if we obtain consent in order to facilitate ongoing support for you. But that will be made really, really clear. If we do ever refer you on to external parties, we will obtain your consent first. If that consent isn't obtained, again, that information stays between you and that counsellor. So importantly, now moving on to the emotional support service itself. So to stress at the start of this is available to all students throughout their studies and also beyond. So 6 months after graduation, you can still receive this support as well. So if anybody on the call is coming up in their final year, this is something that you'll still be able to access 6 months after you graduate as well. But the support that you have access to is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year telephone service for all of your emotional support needs to help you both thrive academically and personally as well. So there's not an exhaustive list, although we've got a couple of areas there on the screen that you might choose to interact with the service. But there's a range of different reasons that you might get in touch with us. To walk you through some. It might be that you've had a difficult conversation with a loved one, a housemate. It might be that simply you're overwhelmed with university stress at the moment. Whatever the issue is, please don't hesitate to give us a call. The helpline counsellor will be able to provide you with a listening ear, and it's very much a safe space outside of your usual support network. But just to walk you through on more of a practical element of what you can expect when you do call through. So when you initially call the helpline counsellor, it will be an automated message that you hear. Following this, you'll receive a really short message around confidentiality and data security. You'll then be given an option list to choose from. So that would be emotional support or legal and information support, which again, I'll discuss on a later slide. But once you've been redirected to your chosen preference in terms of support needs, you'll be then taken through to a helpline counsellor. Now, on rare occasions, all of our helpline counsellors might be on other calls. If this is the case, in 1 minute intervals, you'll be given the option for a voicemail. Alternatively, you can hold the line, of course, but if you do choose to leave a voicemail, we will call you back within 1 working day. But again, you are welcome to hold the line, but we appreciate you all lead very busy lives. So if you are pushed for time and you prefer not to wait, you are welcome to leave a voicemail and we will call you back as soon as possible. And so just to mention in terms of how you actually access the support, it's just simply the number that you see at the bottom of the screen there. So don't worry too much about copying this number down now. As mentioned, this session is recorded, so you can refer back to it, or alternatively, it does come up multiple times during this presentation. And just to stress that there is no limit as well to how many times that you can use this service. So if you've called us yesterday and you actually feel that that was a really beneficial call, but you'd actually like another call, don't worry about there being a limit. This is completely free, and there is no limit to the amount of times that you can call us for assistance. Now, there might be occasions where we identify that that individual maybe requires further support, so maybe structured support. So this is assessed on an individual basis on each call. So if we deem that it is appropriate to receive support outside of ourselves, we might refer you on to an external party. Now, if we are referring you on to an external party, we will always obtain consent and let you know what we are doing. So whether that's maybe that you're appropriate for NHS services, whether it be a GP, or even Teesside University's counselling services as well. Again, if we are referring you on, we will ensure that you're aware of what we are doing. And I'll walk you through when we might choose to refer you on in the next slide, just so you're aware of when we might choose to do so and why. So as mentioned, there might be times where it is beneficial to signpost onto a wider support network outside of that immediate emotional support. Just to say that we do, even if we're referring on to an external body, so say we say you might benefit from speaking to your GP, that's not to say that you can't access the immediate emotional support as well. This is just in addition. We might have a recommendation, but please still do use the immediate emotional support if you are distressed while navigating any life event. But so we might identify that you need onward referring. There's different scenarios that you can see on the screen there. Some might be simply signposting. So this might not be direct referral, but there's a number of different organisations that we work with. So you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a number of different external charities that it might be beneficial for you to utilise. This is very much obviously on the individual, whether they would like to, for example, use to get in touch with Stonewall or Mind as an example, but we just want to ensure that that individual in that moment is aware of all of the resources that are available to them in addition to ourselves. So the other one to mention as well is a direct onward referral. So again, that's that's outside of signposting. That is when we would need consent from the individual. So again, whether this is maybe that you might be appropriate for NHS services or GP services, or even Teesside University's counselling services. Again, we will get consent. On a practical note, for Teesside University's counselling services, if we do feel that you might be appropriate for these services, what we will ensure is When we obtain consent, we'll also ask for your university email address, just because when the university does need to get in touch with you, they can't get in touch via a personal email address. So just make sure, if you are appropriate for that, that you have that to hand, just so we can make sure that we can refer you back into the university. And the only other one to mention, but it's really, really important, is our crisis protocol. So if there is a situation where you or someone you are with is in immediate danger, so immediate threat to life, we in this circumstance might need to refer you on to the emergency services. In this circumstance, we wouldn't necessarily be able to obtain consent for a number of different reasons, but we will always ensure the safety of that person in that moment as a matter of safeguarding. So again, we might have to refer them on if we do identify that there could be risk to your life. And moving on to different services that we have on offer that a lot of people don't necessarily know or associate with that immediate emotional support, but can definitely have an impact on someone's mental health, is our debt management and legal and information support services. We're aware that financial hardship is becoming increasingly common, and it can be really, really difficult for students to keep up with essential costs such as rent, bills, living expenses. And this financial strain can also have a negative impact, very understandably, on someone's mental health and well-being. So to help support with this, we have legal information services. So as an example of some of the people that sit behind this service, so the helpline counsellors are also trained on legal advice and assistance. So they've worked with in institutions such as the Citizens Advice Bureau. We also work with Law Express, and we can help you with a range of different issues such as landlord and tenancy disputes. It could be educational concerns, could be immigration, just everyday life matters. Now, one thing to mention about this service specifically is we can provide you with information. We can't necessarily provide you with advice. So what we can do, if you're having a discrepancy with your landlord, as an example, we can provide you with where you stand from a legal standpoint, but what we wouldn't be able to necessarily do is recommend what you should do. But what we can do is bring all of the information into one place from a trusted source, and you know who's on the other side of the phone is experienced and knowledgeable, and you know you're not sort of Googling and misinformation from different sources, but we can't give you advice on those matters necessarily, because that is ultimately it's your decision as to what you choose to do. In addition to this, we also have the debt support, as we're aware that financial stress can be a big challenge for many students. We offer lots of practical advice. We can offer debt counselling, we can offer budgeting. We can also offer a debt health check, which is essentially a full analysis of monthly outgoings to see if savings can be made. And also we can signpost you on to external parties as well, such as Payplan, who can offer a range of different advisory services. They offer chat services, WhatsApp groups, phone support, just lots of different services. Now, these services specifically, they're not 24/7. So although you access it via the 24/7 helpline, just so it's a single route that you can call, it's available between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday to Friday. So just to be conscious of that. But what I would say is, understandably, if you are navigating different events and it is impacting you emotionally, as well, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us, and we can support your emotional support needs. And then please do then call back during the operational hours for these services. And we appreciate that not everybody necessarily wants to pick up the phone in the first instance and speak to somebody, but that doesn't mean that you necessarily don't want some form of support still. So we have the Wellbeing Hub, which is a digital space. It's all about early intervention, self-care and empowerment, both for your physical and mental well-being. There's different support routes. depending on what your preference is. So we've got in the bottom right hand corner there, you've got a website, which is my-eap.com. Alternatively, if you prefer an app, we have got Vita Care. So just type that in and it'll be on the Google Play and Apple Store. And all you need to do to access either the website or the app is just enter the generic code that you see at the bottom there. So you don't need any logins, any passwords. It's just the same generic code for every single student. So there's lots of different sections. Again, we try and mirror as much as possible as the support that you get on the telephone service in the digital space as well. We've got a chat service that when you log in the bottom right hand corner, there's a pop-up chat icon. This is a helpline counsellor that you'll speak to just for your reassurance. It's not a chat bot. If you do want to speak to them, just to let you know, it's available between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. We wouldn't necessarily be able to provide sort of full emotional support services via the chat service. It's more of a signposting service, just because again it's a matter of safeguarding for that individual. It's tricky when it comes to a chat service. So if they did identify that you might benefit from an emotional support call, we might recommend a call in that circumstance, but where possible we will assist you on the chat service itself. But just to kind of run you through, just as an idea of some of the things that you can use the Wellbeing Hub for. So we've got a My Home Life section, which is all about guidance on families, relationships, loss, housing. We've got a work section, so appreciate those that might have part-time jobs on top of juggling university life. This is all about building resilience for yourself to improve both the study work-life balance as well. And we've got a My Wellbeing section. So this is advice on mental health, the impact of social media on mental health, suicide prevention, physical and mental health, lots of different support as well. There's a lot I could go through, but I won't sort of reel off a full list. But again, just to kind of give you some highlights, we've got a My Money section as an example. So again, trying to mirror as much as possible with some of the support that you can expect by the debt service. We've also got a range of podcasts covering all sorts of topics such as anxiety. We've got one on stress. We've got one covering topics such as LGBTQIA+. Lots of different resources that are available at your fingertips when it's most convenient for you. And just to drag out specific support that's available via the Digital Wellbeing Hub, and that's our self-guided online therapy modules. So these are provided in partnership with SilverCloud. You might have heard of them before. It's used in the NHS as well, but these are highly interactive modules. They're based on years of clinical research, and they're both aimed at improving and maintain well-being. So just to kind of name a couple of the programs that we have on offer, we have a self-management toolkit. This is a good one to highlight, as we appreciate that if you're just starting university, or even you're coming back to a new year, you might be navigating lots of change. So this is all about what that self-management toolkit, that change toolkit looks like for you. It's all about equipping you with the skills to manage those times of change. Also notable ones, we've got modules on space, so it's space from stress, sorry. We've got one on sleep, we've got one on body language. We've got a lot there on offer. How I would describe these modules, they're almost like, they're like wellbeing homework. Appreciate you might have a lot of work on your plate already, those in the room, but it's very much self-led and what's manageable for you. If you can dedicate an hour a week, that's what we would recommend, but it's very much at your own pace. So if you can only dedicate 10 minutes, that's absolutely fine. If some weeks you can't do it and some weeks you can, that's absolutely fine. This is very much led around what is happening in your life and when you can log in and when it works for you. And I appreciate that's been a bit of a brief whiz through on some of the support that is available. I just want to thank you all for taking the time today to learn about some of the support that is available. I do want you to remember about the Wellbeing Hub, the helpline. It's 24/7, it's confidential, it's completely free. Whether that's mental health support, financial advice, legal advice, whatever that looks like for you, we really don't want you to hesitate to get in touch. Please take care of yourselves. Hope you have a lovely day. And yeah, please don't feel that you have to navigate university life alone. Now, I believe there is a chat box. I don't know if anyone's popped any messages in here, so I'm just going to have a look. A couple of people saying good afternoon. Okay. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to pop any questions in here. As mentioned, obviously, if there's anything that you'd like to discuss that's more personal or sensitive, and you don't necessarily want to say that in an open forum, please do feel free to get in touch with your team. I'm glad it was informative. And they'll be able to discuss whatever your query is on a one-to-one basis. I believe I can actually end this event now and stop the recording, so I'm going to do so, and just in case that makes anyone feel a little bit more comfortable if you do have any questions, bear with me.